This is Lisa Steinberg from Starry Constellation Magazine. I am joined today by the supremely handsome Dion Johnstone, who plays Eric in Sweet Magnolias, and we got to see season 4 has just been released February 6th here from Netflix. It's a pleasure to have the opportunity to chat with you and talk everything Serenity.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Oh my goodness, the season 4, uh, there's just like a whole sense of community coming together and family and the different ways that family means and the different connections that get shared within the relationships we see amongst the people of Serenity. But also we get to see a lot more from Eric, your character Eric. You know, we get a little bit deeper into his lore, deeper into his backstory this season. When you kind of first received the scripts from season 4 and you were kind of maybe combing through them, if you do, what really stood out to you about either your arc this season or maybe the themes, of course, and then development that we get?
W- well, one thing that I always do, sort of pre-season, is have a sit down with Cheryl J. Anderson, who's our showrunner and show creator, and just have a light discussion about the arc and major themes of Eric's journey. What I don't want to know is how things end up and what the play by play is. I do like an element of surprise to what I'm doing, and I found that helps me stay more present in the moment to moment of the journey. But at the same time, I do want to know overall where things are heading, so I can kind of start to plug in emotionally and creatively, sort of start feeling my creative juices, so that I'm ready to go as we kind of um, take each movement piece by piece. And one thing that I really loved about this season for Eric, because my first three seasons, maybe season two was a period of light for him, because it was the blossoming of the first go around with Helen. But that ends so harshly in season three, and sort of brings him back, not to his sort of original state of loss and darkness, but to a new place. And so much of Eric's journey has been overshadowed by processing grief, processing loss, and kind of wondering, is that life ever going to be available for me? Is that something that I get to have, or is that something that's actually passed me by and I should let go of it? Um, for Eric to go through this season and actually, I feel like go through a rebirth, reach a new level of lightness, of joy, of happiness, of love, very different from the first time when he was meeting and getting to know Helen. I thought that's really exciting because it's not only what happens between them, it's also a journey for him to really experience what it is to be a part of Serenity, finally with ease, with nothing, no weight on his shoulders. And so there's so many moments that you see, especially in the second half of the season, where you see him as a part of a community in the way that you didn't before. If you dial back to season three, there was a moment where they have the Forager Festival, where the whole community comes together, and Eric's out on a jog, and things have just ended with Helen, and he's running by where the big festival event is happening, and he sees Helen with Ryan, and that was a moment where he felt like, wow, this is a community that I'm part of, but I can't even partake in this community because all of my relationships are tied to her, and so he kind of turns around and runs in the opposite direction, and I felt a lot of that. Eric was kind of a little bit on the sidelines to what happens with the community in terms of like feeling a part of a family. So that really excited me with this season, was to take that journey and kind of really feel like I'm here, I belong, I'm part of this, and it's time to start now building a legacy within this community.
Yeah. It seems sort of like in a way that Eric has this torch in a duality sense, the torch that, keeping, of course, for Helen in a way, but there's always been these different kinds of embers, a torch that, a light within all the darkness of life, and a light that gives you purpose. It brings you comfort, warmth, things of that nature. And I think those great embers have been stoking in that fire for Eric for the past couple of seasons, and now it gets a chance to flourish.
Yeah, yeah. And he's really good at supporting, helping stoke that fire in others because he recognizes that pain and he's been through it and is still working through it so significantly. But it's hard to shine that light on yourself. And it's great in this season to see that light finally shone on him and him able to accept and embrace and be whole with it.
Absolutely. That's such a beautiful, meaningful storyline and story arc that we've gotten to see for Eric. And again, for 4 seasons, there's been a lot of tension. There's, like a lot of heartbreak, of course. There's a lot of sorrow, but above all, that light always will carry you through, or like light always kind of shines through, and that resilience that Eric has always had as well.
Yeah, yeah.
We also got to see, speaking of Eric's backstory and personal life, we got to see a more personal side of him this season, like we're talking about in his backstory, but a home away from home too. Like Eric has been his home, his main home, as we would call it, I guess would be, Sullivan's kitchen,
Yeah.
where he's been his home away from home, his actual home, that we finally get to see more of this season as well. What did you enjoy the most about, getting to dive into these personal elements for him in this fashion as well? Like the home within home of Serenity, his home.
Yeah. Oh, well, first of all, when we started filming and came onto the set and I had the opportunity to see Eric's home, I was blown away. The designers on our show and the crew that put it together are just phenomenal. There was so much detail that went into who Eric's personality is through if you do a second pass and then just kind of a look at the detail of his kitchen is just astonishing. His record section and the fact that this is a guy who keeps old vinyl, um, he photographs of Eric's family. Of course, his deceased wife Vera is there. Um, like every detail was a key into to who Eric is and what his history is. And I had my own, personal backstory of who he might be, but this really helped to flesh it out and make it solid for me. And I'd always sort of joked, to myself, I was like, "What does he have a home in the first couple of seasons? Maybe he just sleeps in the back storeroom of the kitchen. He's got a cot laid out there, and
It's like the Grey's
because I
Anatomy of kitchen. Like he
he's
sleeps in the kitchen like they do in Grey's Anatomy. They sleep in the call room or whatever it is.
yeah, yeah, right. So it was nice to see that. No, that's not true. He does have a home, and it's actually quite a meticulous, structured, very well put together home, which says a lot about Eric's personality, and is something that I think really takes Helen by surprise. Um, so much of the first time that he takes her through the house, she's really seeing him in a way that she had never taken into account, never thought of, and all of those little details she loves. And so it was wonderful filming that because that's a scene of great vulnerability for him is having her in his home and how will she react to his being? It's his soul that she's touching and looking at and sifting through and the respect and the care and the love that she has for it, and then ultimately seeing the photo of Vera and saying, no, I want you to keep this photo here, and I want us to embrace that part of you, and I'm not asking you to shut that away or let that go. I think is a big final key needed for him to go. All right, I'm safe. We're here. You're the one.
I was gonna say, I mean, there's just so many beautiful moments, so many rewarding moments that we get to see this season between Eric and the character of Helen, and seeing their eyes, seeing them differently, and them seeing each other differently, seeing a lot of things differently between each other. and the again the respect and the reverence that she has for who he is and his past and understanding and wanting to hold on to those memories, hold on to the people that again, this is like you're saying, it's a vulnerable moment. It's like a personal moment to let someone into your home, to let someone see who you are behind whatever you project when you're outdoors with around other people in your work environment or, other circles of things. And it's a whole other thing when somebody comes to your house and sees where your comfort is or your comfort zone, your safety, your blanket, all these things that reflect who you are, the details of your life. And
Mhm.
talking about how they get to kind of have new eyes or see each other differently over the past seasons. Like there's always again with the light, with the ember, the chemistry between these two, and it's always kind of been like, why isn't the timing right? Like why is like why can't these two be together? Like what is it that continues to kind of keep them apart, whatever whatever the universe may be, whatever the religious, like I know Helen's a religious woman, whatever the beings that
Mhm.
may have a hand in things, like why can't they be together? And to see the two of them embrace each other, to have these moments that are necessary to bring them back, that reunion to bring them back, it feels like watching The Notebook in a way. Like like, this
Yeah.
reunion
Oh,
is
yeah.
is like, Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams in a Notebook way and through Serenity.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely epic. It's an epic love story, fraught with a lot of hardship, a lot of ups and downs, a definite chemistry that's there right from go, even though they don't necessarily recognize it. I always think of Eric as having different levels that he's operating on. One is his soul level, and his soul, from the moment he meets Helen, knows what it wants, knows what his journey is. But then there's his heart, which, especially because of his loss, is very guarded and is in that stage of reopening again. So it's very vulnerable. And then when that initial breakup between them happens, it closes up again. And then there's his head that's operating to find, well, what makes sense on paper that can kind of keep me safe. And that's where all of his walls and all of his guards and everything that he needs to operate efficiently happens. And so each scene I go, which level is pulling more, and and his soul is driving the entire journey, but he's unaware of it. And so it takes a cosmic event like a hurricane, to throw them together, even in the
And we're
script.
talking about supernatural. Sorry to interrupt you. Like talk about supernatural elements of things again, like the
Exactly.
universe and the
Oh,
deities and things like that. Like it takes a hurricane,
takes a hurricane. It's an act of God. And
literal act of
I have
God.
to say that the writing on that sequence is just beautiful, because right after that, um, sort of in the aftermath of the storm, the hurricane has come and decimated everything for everybody, but it's brought them together. The hurricane was meant for them. And so while everyone is scrambling and trying to pick up the pieces and everything is chaos, they're like floating on this bubble. It's like this, they're in the eye of the storm, where everything is calm and everything is peace, because they're in each other's souls, they're home. And so that next episode, right after the hurricane, they're reunited. I just loved it, because you see them at the top together in their bliss, but they got to go and attend to the community and the craziness of the day. But they meet halfway through the day, share a kiss in the middle, and you hear the bells going. It's almost like, could those be wedding bells for them? Because the bells are crazy for everyone else, but the bells are just beautiful, perfect for them. And then they split off and go back to the craziness of the day, still maintaining their high, still maintaining their bubble, until they meet again at the end of the night. And I was like, that is just. And he says, "Welcome home." Beautiful writing. I really have to hand it to the writing team this season, because they, every season, but this season especially, they really pulled it in a beautiful direction.
I'm always struck again by the chemistry that we get to witness between Eric and Helen, but I love the work that you do with Heather and how you two just make it it feels like a harmony. Like it feels like, you know, the song between you two. It feels like this like beautiful like upbeat melody that you want to sing along to when you watch your scenes together. And I really wanted to just kind of commend you and the work that you do with opposite of Heather, because the two of you, when you talk about soul, that's what it feels like. It's that song that's like in your heart that you feel when you watch your work together.
Thank you so much. Well, Heather's a joy to work with, and she is an artist without exception. I learn every single time I'm in a scene opposite her. So it's been just an incredible and an extraordinary journey to be able to grow with these characters and just keep learning, and having a good time and telling a great story.
The season, we also get to, speaking of relationships, like we get to see new relationships that we haven't seen on screen together before, and not relationships necessarily romantically, but like, you know, within the town. For example, Eric, you know, we've known him to be a mentor to Isaac before in the kitchen, but we get to see him outside more with Annie's character, and sort of be a mentor with her as well. And I wanted to ask a little bit about um, if you could talk a little bit about that dynamic for them and getting to work, of course, opposite of Annalise Judge, who's also another. I mean, again, everybody a part of Sweet Magnolias is just like absolutely brilliant. But getting to now work, you know, it's Dana Sue's daughter, and we get to see that
Yeah.
relationship development between the dynamic between them.
Yeah, Annalise again is also such a joy, and we have had scenes since season one because we're quite often in the kitchen together. But this season it became more of a personal relationship between the characters, and what I love about it is when she asks for his advice, um, he recognizes that her path is not so different from his own, and from the own experience that he's had um, with Helen. And I mean, I think at that point in his life, he believes that their paths have gone apart, and he doesn't have expectation that he and Helen will get together again. Um, but um, but the way he expresses it to Annie also reminds me of the date, the first date that Helen and Eric had at the jazz club at Z's, and they talked about is this love, and they speak of love as being like jazz and having a counterpoint and melody going in one direction and you know the harmony going in the other direction, and then they go back and forth, and then they come in alignment and they separate, and that's as jazz. And and in imparting this advice, this is the very night that storm is going to collide him with Helen. So there is again, it goes back to that cosmic sense that something is in motion that his soul knows that he doesn't yet know. And so I find it so beautiful that he's given that opportunity to unknowingly share something with Annie that helps her on her journey to, in the end, follow your dreams and trust that if you're meant to be, you will find a way. And indeed, that's what happens that very night for him. And then on another level, I feel that connection that he has with Annie, because he stands up for it when Dana Sue asks him about it. He kind of, rather than backing off, he says, "Well, I understand being a mother, and I understand your concerns, but there's also an element of being able to step back and let them blossom and let them fail if indeed that may be what needs to happen, so that they can grow and become stronger and pick themselves up and go at it again." um, but I felt that also signifies how he's moving beyond the restaurant, and he's really allowing himself to enjoy being a part of the community, part of that extended family. And that's something he hasn't had. I mean, it's been there for him, but it's something that he hasn't recognized or knew that he could lean on. And that's starting to happen. And then you start to see him in more of these community events, and and finding a place, feeling that I have a place here. So I love that. I love that development.
Yeah, he has these roots and he has a support system, but maybe he just doesn't think about accessing them or, he holds a lot of this weight and this emotions and these struggles and things in him. And now he realizes he doesn't have to, again, carry that kind of a torch, that carry that kind of darkness with him. And there are people around him who care. There are people around him who want to share that same shoulder that he gives just as much. And I love that he gets to impart a lot of this great like wisdom to Annie's character and have another perspective that like the younger generation's perspective. And again, like the mother's instinct is to protect, and we understand Dana Sue's perspective, but we also understand the other perspective of the coin just as much too. When you're young, she's got Dana Sue's obviously gotten to experience stuff like herself, and she kind of has to learn to let go and let her daughter have that same kind of experience in life, and you know it's just part of the path. I feel like there's little parts of the path that we're starting on here from season 4, and to get to see the kids maturing and getting to see the different relationships extend through Serenity, and new dynamics develop. It's just been incredible to get to feel like you're a part of that path. I love that the show offers you the lens of feeling like you're just another community member from Serenity, and you're sitting next to them in a church pew, or you're sitting down to Sullivan having dinner, and like, or you're going off to the spa and you're like sharing something. You're at the farmer's market, like there's something in Serenity that you can feel connected to when you watch, and someone as
Yeah.
well.
There's some exactly. Yeah. Yeah. The show does a beautiful job of and I know it's a big point for the writers is they want everybody who watches it to feel like they can find someone who they identify with. Either I'm going through that or I know that struggle or I've been there. I see myself in Serenity. Serenity has a way of embracing everybody. And that doesn't mean that it's easy. Um, but it's worth fighting for. And it's worth making a stand for. And and I feel that this season really was about that, you know.
Yeah. Everybody's voice has a purpose. Everybody's voice matters. There's a reflection of something or someone again on screen that gives you that sort of I'm not alone in this world, or I'm not alone in these feelings, or I'm not alone in this experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, speaking of experiences, we've gotten to watch this beautiful show over the past 4 seasons, but it's been longer from filming. It hasn't just been 4 years.
Right.
It's longer than 4 years for
Oh, yeah.
you getting to film Sweet Magnolias. Uh, with where we leave things off here in season 4, what has been the most rewarding or inspiring aspect of getting to be a part of this project for you, portraying this character?
Oh. Well, first of all, this is the first time I've been on a series that has run for 4 seasons, and my roots are in theater, and I've done a lot of repertory theater, where I've been performing in, let's say, 3 plays over an 8-month period in rotation. So I certainly know how to handle the workload of multiple projects like that. But when you're doing a play, you're playing the same character in the same circumstances every performance, and the skill and the technique of it is making it look like it's the first time you've experienced it every time. I've always wondered what's it like to be that character, but take that character through evolving circumstances over an extended period of time, and what does that feel like? And this has been incredible to from where Eric starts when you first meet him in season 1, everything that he's hiding, um, holding on to, but also everything that he's fighting for and everything that he stands for, because there's a real honor and heart and nobility to him. He's very protective of others, but also very protective of himself. And to watch him emerge out of loss, to learn to love again, to be heartbroken all over again, but to not fall back into the depths of where he was, to find a way of moving forward, and then to um, it's almost like what's so beautiful about this season, because again, I don't think he has any expectation that it will or should or could happen with Helen, but there's something in his heart. It's like a call from God. It happens in a church, basically saying, your journey's not done. Um, the door's still open, but if you don't answer that call, the door will close. And that's when everything that he's been wrestling with comes into bang, like complete clarity. And that's when his soul doesn't know who, but knows I need to try again. I'm not trying right now. I'm living a life that's serviceable and it's fine, but it's not my legacy. It's not what I want to leave here. And I want to leave something that matters, that makes a difference. And I want love, true love. And so to take that risk, um, uh, it's a beautiful, scary, phenomenal, and rewarding journey. And to as an actor have had the opportunity to play that. If I never get to do it again, I never get to run in the rain, and like I felt like I was shooting The Notebook when in that hurricane series scene sequence. Like a combination of The Notebook and Jurassic Park, to be honest. I felt like this is amazing. It's torrential. I can't believe it. If I never get to do this again, I am so blessed that the writers love these characters so much and had enough faith in us as actors to give us that opportunity to do it. And that's what the show has done for me. It's changed my life as an artist, as a person. I've watched my son who was born just when around the time that we launched in the first season, and he's now 4.5 years old. And many of us have families that have grown over this period of time, and just to go, we've been a part of this family for 4 seasons over what feels like 5 years, 5, 6 years, maybe 5.5. It's just really wonderful. It's a gift. So I'm grateful.
And I'm just so grateful for the chance to feel like, you're a part of it. You're a part of someone. You're part of this spirit again. We just talk about it for forever. But I got the chance to speak to Cheryl, and I got a chance to speak to some of the other cast members. But I just feel like there's kind of like this beautiful invisible string that just kind of connects everybody, whether it's the characters that we will witness on screen, from neighbor to neighbor, or religious figure to other religious figure, or family to family. That invisible string is there on screen, but I feel like just as much it exists between you all as the cast, off screen
Um,
as much as well.
100%. Like if you want to see where true serenity is, it's the cast and the crew and the production team of the show. It's showing up every day to work and going, you are all amazing people, doing everything you can to deliver your best, your A game. And everyone is treated with respect. Um, there's no egos on the set, and if anybody has one, they tuck that away. Everyone is in service of telling as good a story as we can, and that comes right from the top, right from Dan Paulson and Cheryl Anderson and the entire production team, and that trickles all the way down to people guarding the set on the lot. It's a beautiful space to work in, and that by extension bleeds onto the screen. And I think that's how we have our magic of serenity, because it's what we show up to work every day.
Well, I'm hoping that there's the magic of the universe, the magic of serenity, the magic of whatever we can get to manifest for season 5. And I want to thank you again, Dion, for your time today, because I want to go back to hear that, like where we leave things off. It's obviously in an unfinished, cliffhanger kind of capacity, but I want to go back. I need more of that love. I need more of that light. I need more of that, comfort. when things in the real world are a little bit dark or scary, you can sit back and kick back in Serenity and pour it out and have a milkshake, have a margarita, like whatever your choice may be. Um,
Yeah.
but that's what I love, and I want to thank you again for your time today, and thank you for your really meaningful and beautiful portrayal of this incredible character, Eric, who it's just, we talk about the soul, we talk about the harmony, and that's him. He's the soul and harmony and serenity.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And thank you for having me on to be able to talk about that. It's been a lot of fun. Appreciate that.